I'm at about 27 weeks. I had just stayed in the hospital for 3 days because of complications. They sent me home. A blizzard hit. He shoveled the driveway for 6 hours. Came in, looked at me. I knew. He knew. We knew we had to go. I had a fever, and it took us about an hour to get to Magee Hospital through the snow and ice-covered streets of Pittsburgh. Once he went to park the car and I got out and kind of made my way up in the elevator to triage, then the contractions just started. They came like a freight train. We knew. I actually knew when we left the house that day. I remember looking back at the house and thinking, this isn't gonna be good. And it wasn't. Yeah, and you could tell that all of the nurses and the doctors they kind of knew too.
Yeah, they knew right away.
But you definitely don't feel good knowing that your twins are coming, as little as they were going to be, and you can't stop it. It's just never something that you think is going to happen to you, especially because we have 2 older daughters, and those pregnancies were seamless, no issues whatsoever.
That was numb. You can't prepare for it. It just, you're hoping that everybody is doing what they need to do to help your children. You're helpless. You have no control over anything that's going to happen.
In the early hours after they were born, I just remember looking at them and thinking, is this happening? I cannot believe this is happening. We were like outside of ourselves. After, they came and I'm looking at them and I just knew, wow, that's not what our other babies looked like. This is gonna be a ride.
Not just as a dad, as a husband, you're watching your wife, hang on, as well as your twin girls coming out. It was rough.
It took days before we were able to hold them. I mean, we were looking in a fishbowl for a good 10 days.
Yeah, at least 10 days.
And then we were finally able to hold Nora first, which was surprising because she was the one that was 1 pound, 15 ounces. So when we were finally able to hold her, it was almost like a little bit of a sigh of relief, but then you still held your breath because they were so small and fragile and not what we were used to at all.
And their arms were so little that my wedding ring would actually go all the way up to their shoulder, like a bracelet, that a girl would wear.
You could just cradle the baby right in your hand, and their head, everything was just so tiny and scary, just so scary because there were so many things that weren't developed on them yet. You're looking at your baby and it's supposed to be a time of hope and joy, and your baby has all these monitors and wires connected to them. And it's just not what a mom thinks it's gonna be. Your emotions are just on a complete roller coaster. You go to the NIC unit every day with hope and hoping that your child is going to grow and progress, but you're so impatient because you want them to grow and progress now, because you want to return to a normal way of life. But when you have a premature baby, normalcy is out the window. So I felt scared when there were setbacks, and there were a lot of them. With them being twins, if Ella would have a problem, they would treat Nora in the same manner because they found that twins would mirror each other in terms of their symptoms. And that's exactly what had happened. So when Ella had a setback, Nora had a setback right after. Peyton was, she was still really little. She didn't understand. She enjoyed, going on play dates to the neighbor's house. She enjoyed spending the time with my parents. Abby had a hard time. She was asking a lot of questions. She's the one that think had a big impact. You know, she was 7. So for a 7-year-old, it was really rough for her. She didn't understand why mommy and daddy couldn't be with her all the time. And then the questions started coming.
She didn't understand why her sisters had to stay in the hospital. She couldn't understand why everybody else had babies and they just came home. You know, it took her a while to, I think once she's seen them in the hospital, she kind of grasped it a little bit more.
Being chosen as the March of Dimes Pittsburgh Ambassador family has been such a wonderful experience. Getting out into the community and sharing our story and just recognizing all of the efforts that the March of Dimes has put into all of the advances and the success rate of newborn babies having a chance now. It's still so new. They're going to be 3. But I just remember those moments when it's really, they're human being moments. It's what being a human being is all about. You just never know what path life is going to take you on. Our life would not be normal had it not been for the March of Dimes and all of their efforts. We are so grateful for them as an organization and for all of the wonderful people that we have met that work for the March of Dimes. We are just blessed to have them in our lives.